Hello and welcome to the EPRS Chronicles in the first of our three-part series on Latin America. For this first episode, we are going to focus on the geopolitical importance of Latin America. And for it, I am joined by Mark Uten, who is a policy analyst in the External Policies Unit of the EPRS. Hello and welcome, Mark.
Hello, Kelly. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Let's get started with the main question, which is why? Why is it so important for the EU to strengthen its relations with Latin America?
Well, because Latin America is, besides the United States of America, probably the region that is the closest to us. We share the same values, the strong belief in democracy, the rule of law, human rights. In fact, almost all of the 33 states in Latin America are well-established democracies. They are also an important partner in the fight against the climate change crisis. And together we can make a difference because EU and Latin America represent 14% of the world's population and 21% of the global GDP. And together, at the United Nations, for example, we account for almost 1/3 of the votes.
So the values and the population are the main reason that we want to open up more to Latin America?
Well, if we look at the bigger picture, we see that by 2050, so in the next decades, Europe will lose its stand at the world stage regarding to the economies, but also regarding the demographic developments. Another point is that China is, for example, increasing its importance in Latin America. We are losing out. They overpassed us, and we need to recover. So we need to re-engage with the region.
You talk about the influence that China has on the world stage and the importance of engaging with like-minded partners. So I wonder, how like-minded are we? For example, what is the stance of Latin American countries on the war in Ukraine?
Well, it's true. They take a rather neutral position, especially when it comes to sanctions. They don't follow our sanctions regime against Russia, and they don't necessarily respond to our calls for the delivery of weapons to Ukraine. But when you look at the United Nations, we had 6 key resolutions on Ukraine, and the vast majority of Latin American states voted together with us. By way of comparison, looking at Africa, for example, the situation there is completely different. They are completely divided and don't necessarily follow our voting behaviors there.
And how exactly is the EU's approach towards engaging with Latin America different to some of its other global partners?
Well, we follow a value-driven approach. If you take the example of our trade agreements, we have 27. We have trade agreements with 27 out of the 33 states, and we always have in our trade agreement a sustainable development chapter, in which we discuss with our partners how to improve the environmental protection, human rights, labor rights. So this is a very progressive approach that the European Union is following. Right now, for example, you can see that in the discussion with the Mercosur states, the agreement hasn't been put through yet because of the intention to increase the human rights and also environmental protection in the trade agreement.
And does this matter to Latin America? Do they feel like they have something to gain from an enhanced cooperation with the EU under these terms?
Well, sure, politically, but also economically. I mean, the European Union is a very attractive market, probably one of the most attractive markets worldwide. We have 440 million consumers looking for quality jobs. We are the world's largest single market with transparent rules and regulations. We have a secure legal investment framework that is open for the world to do business with us. And we are also an open market for developing countries.
So how exactly does the EU want to deepen its relations with Latin America then, Mark?
Well, we just adopted our new strategy towards the region in June 2023. And what the EU wants to do is we want to focus on our investment strategy in the region. The global gateway strategy is the core pillar. Globally, the EU wants to invest more than 300 billion. And we want to focus on smart and green growth in order to ensure the transformation of the economy, which will also help to tackle the climate change. In July 2023, after 8 years of absence, we will finally have a high-level EU summit with the region, with the LAC leaders. And then the third element, and this is probably the key moment, will be the question if we will manage to finalize the 3 envisaged agreements with Chile, with Mercosur, and with Mexico.
Thank you very much, Mark. This concludes our first episode on our 3-part series on Latin America. Join us for episode 2, where we are going to explore in more detail the relationship between China and Latin America. In the meantime, you can subscribe to the EPRS's YouTube channel in order never to miss a new video. Thank you.